Good morning again. It's Monday, I think. Yeah, it's Monday, and we're in this Corona historic experience. It'll be interesting in a few years' time to go back and look on these videos I made during this event fiasco, high strangeness has occurred in the last month or so, with us being locked in our, well, not locked in our homes, but like our civil liberties completely restricted and taken away. And last night I had some of us have been saying this is a spiritual experience, and by God is it, and or goddesses, and gods, and I had a download or an insight or another, flash last night, and I'll make a video about that on the open source occult TV channel. I'll call it Spiritual Exchanges. This one is just called Exchanges. Now, it's starting to become clearer what kind of world we're heading for, or what we're going to have in the post-COVID-19 experience. I'll put it, not a pandemic, it's an experience. It's the biggest loser of all will be China. China will be the Chinese, and it's becomingly that you're hearing hints now of major economies and smaller economies now proceeding to take or explore the concept of legal action towards China for creating, possibly, but definitely not shutting down this virus when they knew how bad it was. They're in an awful lot of trouble. Now, the land of ping pong pestilence and is not a very pleasant place by any means. This is like anywhere that's communist or extreme socialist, regardless if it's a wealthy liberal Marxist nation like Ireland or Sweden or Norway, or if it's a totalitarian work or you'll die nation like China. They are about the weaponization and the absolute sanctification of bureaucracy. And the Chinese Communist Party have taken bureaucracy to the level where it's basically more important than anything else that has ever existed in the universe. So right now, you're seeing all these news stories about the Chinese are donating this medical supplies and that medical supplies and giving this away and giving that away. That's because they are shitting bricks in the Chinese Communist Party, the Central Committee, and they're trying to buy as much good PR as possible before the lawsuits against the Chinese government commence. And they're hoping to buy time or buy them off or say, we're not so bad, this kind of thing. And they're very, very bad. And that badness has dropped all through like a Chinese torture from the top of that Chinese Communist Party all the way to the people in the streets and the peasants in the fields. And that's a country and a nation that has to be exchanged for something better than what it is now. And you're talking about a country who locked up 1.5 million Muslims for no reason. That'll be talked about on the open source occult video that will come after this. So these exchanges of one reality for another. And so all those spectacular high-speed rail systems they built all over China, they'll all be owned by Western governments, probably through some kind of bond scheme. And you'll have a situation like what you had at the end of World War II, where literally whole factories were being floated down the Danube into the eventually into the Black Sea and over to Russia, because that Germany was stripped for what it did in World War II. And the same thing will happen in China. You will see those high-speed trains loaded onto onto, and all the tracks and everything, the signals, the whole lot loaded onto trains. If they're not actually if they're not kept as owned by Western governments, they will be handed over, like literally handed over, and they will find themselves. Those trains will be around the world, and the same with lots of their manufacturing process all gone. A lot of that will be shifted into Russia. I'm convinced of that now. Now you have you're going to have like an asset stripping, and it's going to extend to China's overseas empire, economic empire, and that's Africa. And you're going to see this crash. See, I told you it's a deliberate crash of the Western economies by the usual three suspects at the top: the Bilderbergs, the Council of Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission. But they still have to get out of this. They can't just put us all in poverty forever with no hope. So the restoration of the Western economy will be based on the asset stripping of China. I'm convinced of that now. I'm convinced of it. And you may think that, like, well, you can't recover you can. It's not like it was in the 30s. You can recover an economy quite quickly now. I mean, look at Ireland in 2008. Within 10 years, they were up with, the country was, a gun was put to our heads by the EU and the IMF and says, pay up, Paddy, and not only your own debts of your banks, but also the debts of all the other countries that had failed in the EU. And Irish taxpayers were personally burdened with 41 or 43% of the European debt. And they had a gun put to our heads, and they not only paid it off, but the economy, Ireland was back in the world top 10 richest countries within 10 years. So that's not because Ireland is amazing compared to everyone else, although we are, I have to say one thing about Irish people. Irish people are very, very hard-working people. There's no doubt about that. And they're good at making money and stuff like that. But but that's, lots of countries could have done what we did. The thing was that it shows how it's not like the times of the Great Recession. You can pull out of recessions much quicker now, because economies are far more diverse than they were back then. Therefore, there's more, because of the diversity of economies, there's more opportunity to make money and to create commerce. So yeah, that will it won't, of course there's an economic collapse and all that coming. It's not going to last, like, 20 years or 10 years. It'll be over in 2 or 3, and a big part of that will be the asset stripping of everything Chinese there as punishment for COVID-19. Now, so that will change not only China's, well, it'll wipe their economy out, but it'll probably lead to a complete breakdown of their society. And you might see a return to regionalization there, where the regions probably break away and you don't have a central committee anymore. And they're doing everything now to try and look like good guys. They're talking, we're banning eating dogs in certain areas. I mean, this is just desperation to try and look good. It's the bargaining thing, before, when someone knows they're going to die, they bargain with the doctors and they say, "I'll do this, I'll do that. Will it make me live?" And it's just, that's what China. That's the nation of China right now, and being a completely insidious leadership, they will be doing things like murdering everybody who is remotely connected to any evidence that the international community, or something like the International Court of Crimes, can use as witness testimonies. And they'll be murdering everyone from regional health authority managers all the way down to the secretaries who work in the offices. They'll all be disappearing tonight in the next few weeks, if they're not already gone and taken to a field somewhere and processed into meat. And that's what they're like. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I had to laugh at the horrible Democrats all disgusted that Trump is saying China and claiming it's racist. What happened to racism against the Russians? Do you remember that? Everything was Russian collusions, sneaky Russians this, sneaky Russians that, Russian women prostitutes pissing on Trump. Oh, but they weren't racist then? With their obsession against the Russians? They weren't racist? No? You see, that's another exchange that's going to happen. Uh, my years of living in the USA, I had no left wing, just like I have no right wing. I have nothing like that. I just was a political eunuch, or a political nothingness in the middle. And I would say, oh, that's kind of interesting. It was a left wing thing, or that kind of makes sense. It was a right wing thing. But I never had a dogmatic approach to either side. And anyone who still does, you're just not thinking correctly, and no matter what it is. And that's why Trump is in power, because Trump is not a Republican. Trump is an American. Big difference. And he's not from the neocon world. That's where Hillary Clinton is from. And so the I mean, when I was living there, the biggest racists were always people who call themselves Democrats and liberals. I used to know one woman there, and every time she literally met me, and she was actually a lawyer, helping. I mean, she was involved in every anti-racial thing you could imagine, and literally every time she met me, she had to make jokes about Irish drunks, and like I was supposed to think it was cute or something. Like accept the acceptable racism of the American liberal, and if you go to if I just see like all these and every last one of them, like I see, you look at places like Nassau County and Suffolk County in Long Island, just outside New York, they are regions of white flight. Their parents literally ran out of Brooklyn and Queens as soon as they saw the first brown or black face at school. They are the biggest racists of all, and they're all living in in these all white suburbs in in Nassau and Suffolk County, and yet nearly every one of them votes Democrat and thinks and calls Trump a racist. That's what that world is over. They'll have to exchange that for reality too, and that's why the Democratic Party lost the working class, because of this woke politics. It's so true. Go woke, go broke. It's the same reason why Labour does not exist anymore in places like Scotland. Uh, they completely become the internationalist communists that they all are below the surface, and they show their true colours. And so that's another thing that's, there's been lots of revealing leading up to this. I mean, and again, it's a very spiritual thing, as I'll talk about in the other video. But we're seeing the clarity of the post world coming in. Now, there is, this is a great human tragedy in many ways. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm going on about like most of the people who died, like the one have been very old. Like I made a joke there yesterday that the actress who played the school teacher in the movie Jaws, she died of COVID-19 complications. She was 91, 96. So it's like I had to joke, like, oh my God, she was 96 in the prime of her life, and COVID-19 took her down. This is, we know it's all old people or people who have like very bad illnesses and cancers and diabetes and so on. And it's a great human tragedy. Yeah, it absolutely is. That's still, even though it's an old person who's going to die anyway, that's still someone's grandmother, mother, or great grandmother. That's still someone who had a life. But there's other things. There's lots of suicides going on right now. The suicide thing will be off the scale. And people commit suicide for lots of reasons, not just for depression, but people commit suicide, they might have chronic pain. And they're saying, well, the world is going to be crap after this COVID. Don't do this. Please hang on. If you're suffering from chronic pain, I'm not saying do this. I'm saying don't do this. Things are going to get better. We've been brought here on this channel in these videos and in my life, and me with you and you with me, for a reason, and that's what I'm explaining on the other video I'm making on Open Source Occult TV. And so don't do that. But people will do that. They're totally wired into the system and wired into the programming. And they'll say, well, I have, motor neuron, and I'm doing not too bad now, but it's not going to get better. He'll kill himself. Or I have the cancer's not going, she'll kill herself, and that kind of thing. Or some people, they do it for all, they'll just check out for lots of reasons. And this, again, is a great human tragedy. But it's just what's going to happen. I know there's lots of people who live alone, maybe lost contact with their families or their whatever, their friends, or don't have any here. They'll all be found dead, and lots of them. And that's, the great exchange, they're exchanging their reality on this world for a possibility, well, a reality of a new beginning on another life, with their spirit goes on. And you like I said, we're getting to know the real personality of people through all this. The ones who are fear mongering and telling you it's the end of the world, and the ones who are still going on, I think, like reptilian Illuminati, child molesters in underground tunnels. You need to get all those fuckers out of your life. all the ones who are obsessed with the Illuminati are going to arrest us and kill us all, inject us. They're not. You don't need. These are killing. These are dangerous people who are responsible for a lot of fucking suicides out there. If Reptilian Resistance Channel 2020 was real, those kinds of people, and you've got to surround yourself with not. When I say positive, I don't mean positive like love and light, namaste, and all that shit. I'm talking about not even optimism, but I can't think of the word to use, but like encouragement. There you go. People who are encouraging. So, and encouraging, that's what you want to surround yourself with. And America will return to its place as the leader of the world. Uh, because of this. And one thing Americans are tremendous for is they're great at encouraging people. Like if you're good at sport or you're good at music or something, I've found or anything, or trying to retrain yourself for a new career. I've found Americans are unbelievably encouraging that way. It's a lovely national trait they all have, a cultural trait that they have there, and that's what I'm trying to impart here. Encouragement. Don't fall into despondency, and stay away from anything that can draw you into that despondency, because even in the darkest hour, we still got to seek the dawn of the new day. This is why we're here on this planet. We are here to seek the rising sun. That we're here to seek the first bird song of the morning. We're here to just embrace the potentials and possibilities of a new day. And we're not here to be dragged into the putrefying cancerous abyss of despondency and endless negativity. That will destroy your immune system and everything. And this is another thing why I'm doing this, and I'm trying to help people this way, and others like me are doing it, is the virus is real, and it's a well-known thing that the thing that can really destroy your immune system is negativity and despondency. And that's why I was trying, until my stalkers got me banned from Facebook the other day. I was trying to keep people as happy as possible on Facebook. The ones who did that, they'll die. They have no future, because they're trying to rob the song from other people's hearts just because they're my friends and things like that. And what a way to live. But they've nothing else to live for, and they can't envision the song of a new, bird song of a new day, or the sun rising in a new morning. And that's what you have to do. You have to keep your eyes on that. You have to keep your eyes focused on that. You're exchanging one version of this reality for another. Don't let anyone tell you it's going to be a horrible new reality, because that immediately puts you in a position of being a slave. Hold on a second. If the worst is coming, if INSOC is coming, I will be like Julia in 1984. I'll still be a free spirit inside, and I'll make sure not to get involved in trying to change the bureaucratic system. I'll just understand it and enjoy my life best I can by playing the game. That's not going to happen. The world's that's not coming. And people tell you that it's going to be just like it is now, but slightly different. And people will lose their jobs, but people will retrain. People will start businesses. Life will go on. And that's always to remember that. And always, don't be, you're exchanging one version of reality for another. We faced nothing that humans haven't faced. Okay, this is unprecedented. The whole planet shut down for this. In the past, it had to start wars to do it. And we've learned, I told you, you've learned an awful lot about the people around you. The snitches, never forgive them for being snitching on their neighbors, because they're the ones who, their ancestors would have been the ones who told the Nazis that's where the Jews live, or told the Bolsheviks that's where the whites live, or told the Khmer Rouge that's where the enemies of the state live. These people must never be forgiven. These are pariahs that must always be shunned for all eternity. And you'll also see the good people around you, the ones who who cannot be broken, and their spirits can't be broken, and they're the ones sharing the memes and having the laughs and having the fun. And doesn't mean they don't care that their kids or their families will get sick. It's just that they're not going to be crucified by the mainstream media, and that will be the biggest exchange of all. The mainstream media, it has no credibility now. Yeah, I know all the normies and are all hanging on to every word they say and everything, but It won't last when things come out like Sweden didn't have a lockdown and all this other stuff, and you'll find you won't. I'm not going to say you have a growth in independent journalism. What you will have is what I prefer to do. I don't follow the news. I seek out tidings. Tidings are information from outside, outside. When you are obsessed with news, you are being spellbound constantly. And my book, The Amble of the Psyche, you you're basically being medicated with dopamine and adrenaline, and there's this, and you put into a state of fear. They give you regular drug updates between 1 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m., or 24 hours now on these 24-hour news channels. Replace that with the idea of tidings. Get a bit of information. Oh, okay, that's interesting, and leave it. Don't be seeking out pundits to tell you how to think and all this kind of thing. It's just information. It's not dogma. So that's my today's one. Keep smiling, have a laugh, enjoy yourself, surround yourself with good things. The weather here was absolutely gorgeous today, and the sun is going down now. And that's another thing I've noticed, that the colors of shadows have changed. When I was a kid, shadows, and if you look at paintings going back to the 1920s and 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, well, not so much as 60s, up until the 40s, when shadows were painted by artists, they were often painted in a kind of a purple hue. And then shadows went blue, probably because of all the air traffic. And shadows have been blue and cold in paintings. I notice now they're returning to purple. Prince is getting his way. We're having a purple rain. We're exchanging blue for purple again. Take care. And don't forget to check out the video coming up on Open Source Occult TV on the spiritual implications of this.